Alright, I'm going to do an iPhone 6S connector repair today, and this is still in the housing. I'm not going to take it out of the housing and see if we can get this thing done. As you can see, there is physical damage, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this foam off, and in order to do that, I feel like I'm going over the same stuff in all my videos, but I know that someone watching this video may not have watched any of my previous videos, and so I'm just going to kind of go over what I'm doing, even if you've seen this before. I'm going to put some isopropyl alcohol in the foam stuff, and I'm going to remove the foam stuff first. Alright, just just douse it a little bit and just kind of let it sit there for just a little bit. And it is easiest to use two tweezers. Yeah, thinking can be pretty liberal with it, but I feel like this is not just going to be a connector repair. I mean, these connector repairs suck in general, but I think there's probably a blown backlight, maybe a few other blown filters here, which is not going to be pretty. I'm just going to see if I can take as much as I can off, because it's going to burn regardless. It's going to burn. It's going to burn. I wish I would have taken this off before I put the Kapton on. This thing just sticks to everything, man. I can't even get off my fingers. Alright. So, next thing I'm going to do is turn my heat gun to 159 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to... Why 159? I'm not really sure. And I'm just going to remove some of this black foam around the black stuff around the connector, because it's just gonna make it a little bit easier to get access to it and stuff. All right. Because I'm gonna have to use like pretty decent heat here, and sometimes when you use too much heat with the black stuff, it expands and and then you'll have cold joints under the black stuff, and it's going to be a dandy finding out which component is jacked up when you have no image. So it's best to preempt it with a little bit of heat and get rid of this black stuff. I think that's probably the best idea. Not 100% necessary, but I mean, I think this 2.5 minutes I'm going to spend doing this, you know what, I'm actually going to direct the heat towards the frame and not the battery. So I'm just going to scrape and scrape and scrape until I get it off. Otherwise, just do it now. Easier to do it now than spend hours later. Oh, see, that's already jacked up. Pretty sure I didn't do that. It's going to cost me a little bit of time. Shit. think I'm just going to put this aside for now. Hopefully I don't lose it, because it's a really, really small component. And from here, I am going to, I know you guys can't really see it, but I'm going to get some more IPA in here and clean it up a little bit, just a little bit. I think that may be sufficient, maybe. Maybe this, because this is going to be a tight shop right there. This black foam and stuff, man, it just sucks. Alright, since I still have this in the frame, I'm actually going to put a little bit of low melt on this puppy. And see if I can get the connector off just a little bit easier than normal. Alright? So I got a little bit of low melt here. I got a tip here. I'm just going to kind of, you know what? Should I do that? Because I really don't want to get on the other ones. Need a sharper tip here. See if this one works any better. You know what? I'm not even going to do this because it's not going to fit. So, okay, so I'm going to turn my temperature to 344, airflow at 6. And I am going to start heating the connector to remove it, and hopefully not burn anything else up in the process. Alright. So the secret to doing these getting these connectors lifted without breaking anything is to just make sure your heat is right. Okay, that's really the biggest thing. You got to find the point where the connector melts and the solder melts and the connector doesn't. That's really kind of like, I mean, you can experiment a bunch of times, and then eventually what you find, and then time too. You know, how long can you leave it on here without the connector burning? You know, so I don't really want to burn anything else in here. Otherwise, it's going to be a long freaking day. So the closer I get, so I'm still experimenting myself. Goes okay. So basically, you know, once it starts, so basically, like, you know, you can start at a lower temperature, and then, you know, if it really doesn't work, then you can kind of move your you can move the tip of your hot air station just a little bit closer. Okay, and the closer you get to the connector, the hotter it gets. Okay, so. And then you can kind of just go like that until you find that sweet spot, you know. Sorry, my eyepieces are not straight. So, okay, so that's pretty clean right now, and I really want to remove all this stuff because I'm gonna have to get really tight into here, and you want to clean it up pretty good. I mean, this is about the tightest kind of connector repair you'll ever do, and so you really want to remove everything here, and okay. Alright, so get some, I'm going to put a little flux on here and mix. So there's lead-free solder on there right now that comes with these on these phones. So I'm going to mix the lead-free solder with some 6337 leaded solder, okay, and then I'm going to wick it. You know, for some reason the ground pads are just a pain in the butt, man. You can feel it when you hit those ground pads because the solder just doesn't want to melt as good. Okay, so let's just clean the old flux off, and then I'm going to put some new flux, and then I'm going to wick. Alright? Alright, so what I like to do is just clamp my tweezers and then get another pair of tweezers to hold it, and then just kind of wick it like that. Alright. I think this is the easiest way to wick something, you know, for microsoldering at least. So I think that's it. So that's pretty good. Put my wick aside here, clean my tips, and then I'm going to clean it one more time with some IPA. Because this black goop sucks. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty clean right there, right? So I'm actually going to put some leaded solder back on there, and that way it'll make it easier to flow once I get the new connector on, okay? So wick away all the old lead-free solder, get some leaded solder, and then what I like to do also is put a little bit of show you, but just a little bit, you know, that way you can solder will kind of go a little bit easier. See how hard the ground pads are to melt? I'm actually going to put a little bit of low melt on all, like pretty much all the ground pads, just because it's a real pain in the butt to melt. I mean, so this is low melt right here, okay? Just gonna reduce the melt, and these are just, I mean, they're ground pads, but that's quite a bit actually. But I really don't want that much. I just want a little bit. Okay, you can tell where all the ground pads are. That's ground, ground, ground. That's it. All right. That's actually a little too much solder there, so I'm gonna remove some. Alright, that's it. So let's get our connector out, and then we'll go. I mean, this repair, I don't even really like this repair, but yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can get the end post first, and we will go from there. You just want to make sure you leave enough room on both sides in order to solder. Otherwise, if you leave too little, you're going to have some problems. So I'd like to tin that just a little bit first. That is way too much, sir. Oh my gosh. No! Okay, let's put this back. I'm about to get a new connector. So I just jack this one up. What the hell happened to this damn connector? Ugh. Alright, this is turning out to be a little bit sucky here. Alright, I'm gonna get a smaller tip here. This is my 0.1 millimeter. Okay. Alright, so that's one end post. took a little while. Alright, that's pretty good. So let's this one's a little bit bulging, but I can use some wick later or something like that to remove some of the solder. Okay, that's not a big problem, I don't think. All right, so let's get all the posts now. I mean, this is pretty solid now. So let's start working on the posts here. All right, and this is why this repair really sucked. Some people use just heat, but I haven't really had a whole lot of good success with that. So I'm gonna go a little closer here, and you can tell I got a nice little ball of solder at the end of I just wait. But anyways, so I like to push down a little bit on this connector here and try not to burn it. I think I need a little more solder. I just switched to my bent tip, which is supposed to be 3 millimeters, 0.3 millimeters, but probably more like 0.5 millimeters now. But I just get a little better heat off of it. Yeah, it's too big. It's not gonna work. Let's go back to the 1 millimeter. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna go back to my bent tip here just because I feel like I can get just a little bit more solder on this thing, and hopefully I get a little more room over here. You know, they say these tips last a little longer in these JVCs, but man, they are going pretty fast. Ugh, I just jacked that up. Creating more work for myself here. I can fix this damn component now. Alright. I'm sure I'm going to have a loose joint or two. So I'll go back and check those, but let me put this component back on first. Hope my component's still here somewhere. Here it is. This thing's so freaking dinky. Was that my component, or is there another one here? Nope. Is this it? Nope. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was it. So let's get a little bit of flux on this puppy. And send my tip here. Alright, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's inspect our joints now and see what's going on with them. So I just kind of poke at it a little bit and see if it wiggles. mean, ideally I like to see the silver kind of cover the gold, but that's a pretty tight joint. These are all pretty tight actually. And that's a little bit of a mess, so I'll need to wick that a little bit and get some of that solder off out of there. So is this pretty tight right here? I mean, the end posts are probably the hardest parts. So that's pretty tight. So let's go back. Let's go this way now. Loose, 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 loose. None of this side worked. I'm going to redo this whole side. Yep, no good. Alright. Definitely not going to be the prettiest. What the hell is this from? Damn it. How'd this get dislodged, dude? Now I see why this repair sucks so much. Where'd my little component go, dude? I think that's it. Definitely gonna burn that connector again. Alright, it's good to go. Let's clean it up again and inspect. I think what I could do is probably just heat it up a little bit, and so this right here kind of concerns me a little bit because there's so much flux in there. I mean, there's so much solder in there. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of get rid of some of this solder here. Let's do this. Where's my solder at? Hopefully I don't melt this damn connector when I do this. But I'm gonna see if I can remove some. Definitely don't really want to. I think that should be okay. Gosh. Okay. Let's test these pins again, and if all tests well, then I think we are good, but we shall see. Still loose, 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 loose. It's not working too well, man. I think it's because the ground pads were sticking up. I think that was the problem. I mean, that's not even connected at all. That sucks. Alright, new plan. Let me get a new bent tip here. Alright, I got a new bent tip here, and let's see if we can get this maybe just a little bit easier. Probably could just heat it really, but let's see if this works first. If this doesn't work, then I'll helps to have a good tip. There it goes. Nothing sounds better. This pair sucks. That's probably ground anyways, man. Do I really care? Not really. Let me double check. I just checked ZXW and it was connected, so I'm not going to worry about that one bridge right there. So I am pretty confident with this one. I mean, we can check one more time, but I think everything looks pretty good. Except for that end right there, which kind of sucks, but I mean, I think it'll be fine. So let's just look at this one more time. And then we will do our test. Still a little loose. Loose. Okay, too loose. So let's see if we can fix it. Flux. I think we're good. This is just a biatch of a repair, man. Even after all these repairs, I still hate this one the most. Alright, that's bugging me a little bit, so I'm gonna have to remove this bridge. Actually not easy to remove. What's going on here? Weird. Maybe a little flux. That's not working. I'm about to say forget it. There it goes. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it now. I'm not gonna mess with it. Gosh. Alright, looks pretty good. Now, apologize for making you guys sit through this torture. Clean up a little bit here. I don't think my work is done yet because. Alright, so that's what the connector looks like after it's done. But I don't think I'm done yet. Before I go live, let's check the backlight filter. Which is blown. Shocker. And then let's check, let's see, diode mode. Let's check diode mode here. Okay, that one looks pretty good. 0.5, 0.6, 1.5, 33. As long as I'm getting something on the first 6, I think I'm good. Okay, and I'll do the bottom 2 too. Okay, those are all good. Okay, so I think the only one that's I need to change is probably that right there. And then, yep, that's it. So let's change the backlight filter, and then I think this should be good. Maybe clean it up a little bit. These had 0.1 millimeter tips on it, but now they're like, they've gone bad, so tips are ridiculous too. I need to change tips on this thing. It's causing me some grief. Alright, I'm getting close to the finish line here. Kinda close. A little OCD here. A little bit of OCD. Alright, that's good. That's shiny. Alright, I think it's time. I think it's time. Clean this up just a little bit more. And we are good. Alright, we're good now. Alright, let's try it. One more test. Make sure it's not shorted. Alright, we're good. It's gonna work. Alright. First time I'm plugging it in. And I'm getting 0 amp draw. Nope, getting 0.34. Oh, there it goes. There's the battery symbol. Okay. Alright, so I think we're good. Battery's dead. I am going to wait a little bit for the sucker to charge, and I'll show you guys the end result of it, okay? But I'm pretty sure it's going to work. So I'll be back. Alright, so there you go. There is the phone booted up and it works. Touch works. I'm going to test everything, but as you can see, the LCD works again and the backlight works. So that's a marathon success connector repair. These things suck. I don't think you're going to see a lot of these on YouTube because people have problems with these, I think. But this is what we go through when we solder these things back on. You know, I mean, I think some people do it with hot air. I think it's doable, which I may try to do next time, just to see if it goes a little bit faster and smoother. You know, but I haven't had a whole lot of success with it. But you know what? I'll try it next time and I'll record it and we'll go from there. Alright, so there we go. We are back in business. Thanks for watching our video. I just wanted to kind of go over 2 courses that we have available on udemy.com right now. If you go to microsoldering.com, click on Learn, and then Getting Started, you'll see that we have 2 courses available. The first one is iPhone logic board repair, the basics, and in this course we go over the basic building blocks of logic board, to the tools and equipment necessary, to the basic fault finding and troubleshooting. This course is mainly for people looking to get started in micro soldering. It goes over all the components and basic troubleshooting tips and stuff like that. So you can just go to the website and click on the link, and it'll bring you to the Udemy page to buy the course. And the second course goes over, which I wrote part of. It goes over how to troubleshoot problems, and in this course we go over the 3 most common iPhone repair problems, which is no backlight, touch IC disease, and charging problems. And we go over in detail exactly how to troubleshoot and fix these things. So if interested, please visit the website microsoldering.com and you can get some more information from there. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.